once again, it's me and her discussing various things that keep coming up. Loads of stuff keeps coming up. We're not really complaining because we've got something to talk about. But I was noticing this morning on the news the number of copycat things that the news produces. So,
Mm.
if one, as an example, drives one car through a crowd of people in a Christmas market,
Yes.
that's horrific. But it goes around the world now. There's been another one this morning, apparently, over in California,
Oh,
where a
right.
lorry, yeah, breaking news, has done the exact same thing. We don't know the casualties. But there is a negative to all this news and information, isn't there, when one sees that?
Well, I think, yes, and you see copycat, people do think, yeah, I mean, that is the trouble, isn't it, with all this stuff going out? I think people do think, oh, I hadn't thought of that. If you're that way inclined,
Yes,
I really do think if you're that way inclined, you think, oh, good idea. There's so many freaks and weirdos out there that I really do think it does. It's the same with any sort of crime, really, isn't it? Oh, I hadn't thought of burglaring someone like that, or I
hmm.
hadn't thought of doing this, that, and the other. And it does, I think it can sow a seed. I mean,
Yes,
it's the same with some of these violent video games. They are copycatted in real life, aren't they?
yes, and
If you're on this, if you've got a problem with your mental health and you're a bit, you know, a bit
it,
on the edge, it doesn't take much for you to actually follow suit.
no, it's the
I don't think they
tipping.
should be shown in the way they are and over again. I mean, how many times do you see a footage, which is absolutely horrific, and on your own news? On the hour, it's the same bit of footage over and over and over again. And I don't think that's good media reporting anyway, but I also don't think it's good for people's mental health, really. I mean, if it's that brutal, why do you need to keep showing it?
Yeah, there is again a medium course that we don't seem very good at taking. It's all one way or the other, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Talking about that, actually, somebody very rich 100 years ago put money into a national debt fund. It felt this person felt sorry for the government. Now that fund is now worth £607 million.
Yes. Isn't
Uh,
Rachel Reeves trying to get her hands on it?
exactly,
Yes.
which just shows us the state GB Limited is in. Um, Having said that, it's a drop in the ocean.
Well,
We've got a debt of nearly 3 trillion.
yeah, I mean, you can't, I mean, it's like making up phone numbers, isn't it? You know what I mean? International phone numbers where they've got sort of eight
Yeah,
and 10 different
distance
numbers
to
in
the
it.
moon. You can't appreciate big
It's
figures.
just, I know, you can't, I just keep thinking, where are they printing all this money? Is it in the backyard of Downing Street? I
I,
mean, how
I'm
do they keep accessing all this money? I mean, I don't understand about world politics, but where all this money comes from, who's loaning it? Because there must be some really serious people out there.
Well, I mean, bless this man who gave this money. And two things here. Number one, this is a very, very good argument that one should put long-term money in a long-term equity fund.
Mm.
That being over many, many companies, either in one country or preferably international, and leave it there because the compounding effect of interests, well, you've seen it in this,
Yeah.
it's fantastic. Money is gains, whereas if you just put it in a bank or a
Oh, yeah,
two-year
definitely. Oh,
account,
no, definitely.
you've lost money.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, no, I agree with you with that. Would there must have been a caveat, surely, as to who could access it and why, or
Oh,
isn't there?
well, yes, but with the changing law and with clever lawyers in charge of our country, they've soon got round that one. I mean, now Daft Rachel with her abacus can do what she wants, can't she?
Because-
Yes, we move on.
But
Um,
it is frightening when you're really sort of almost like robbing the family silver, aren't you, really?
well, you are selling it off, never to be seen again. The other thing that's crazy, there's lots of crazy things going on at the moment. We're going to switch from the sublime to the more sublime as we go along with the program. Of course, we have mentioned it cursorily in the past, this wretched meeting in Paris, where all the good and the glad and the stupid perhaps met there, and they've decided how many troops each country is going to send to Ukraine. And we've pointed out that we ain't got enough troops to do what we are doing, as it were, at the moment. And anyway, if you look what happens with our troops, they're thrown out their barracks to these far off places. Families are left behind. And in one particular case, they're going to fill the spaces up with illegal immigrants. Now, the
Yes.
troops are going to be wonderful about things like that, aren't they? Abroad, thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
The women are going to be frightened to death, quite rightly so.
I mean, they don't, it just not, I don't agree with the thing anyway. I honestly don't. I just think it's an aggravation, I think, to the other side. If you have a peace agreement and you've signed it off, then that's it. Why, I just think it's an aggravant to actually sort of put boots on the ground and all of that, because boots on the ground don't stay as just peaceful boots on the ground, do they? Something flares up, and I do think it's an irritant to the aggressor, that side, because it's basically saying there is, yeah, questionable trust, isn't it?
Yes, indeed. A lot of that about these days. No more so than what is happening with our police. They're in a right quandary in a
Oh,
lot of situations at the moment. They
absolutely.
brought it on themselves. There's
Yeah,
this farce that's awful, in Birmingham, about the Jews not being allowed to watch an Aston Villa
that's
football
right.
match. And it now comes out that the police have adjusted the truth. That means lied.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
but if you think about this, they chose to bow to Islam
Yes.
and not to the Jewish nation, if you wish.
I mean, it's outrageous. And even I read also that a mosque was involved in the appointing of the chief constable of Birmingham, West Midlands, or whether it is. I mean, what's it to do with them? I mean, I just don't understand what's going on. I really don't. And
Who is
he
controlling
should be
our
got rid of.
country? I mean, Sharia law by the back door
It's,
is already in.
it is, and you've got that going on. And I mean, I just wish the British people would stand up and do something instead of keep whinging about it. Going on and on and on. What are you going to do about it? I think they've got over 1 million votes now, haven't they, for a general election, for people forcing and wanting a general election. And I think it's something like the 12th of February. There's going to be a debate in Parliament. Well, it has to happen because I mean, we're never going to turn back anything. Hasn't he also said that any laws that are being put in place, that if Farage got in, he wouldn't be able to change them?
Um, More than possible. I'm just thinking of a solution to this. We accept all these people from France in their rubber dinghies. I have a solution. I think about 100,000 of good, healthy Brits should be exported to France to learn how the French would deal with this situation, because we both know how they would. They know how to protest,
They do.
a la farmer.
Absolutely. I just always have to laugh at the French when they rise up. They seriously do. But the other thing as well, you're right about the Sharia law, and it is a real problem. And I don't understand. So let's go on extending from the Sharia law here about Starmer will not ban uh, first cousins getting married. Now he's a lawyer. It's against the law here. He's a lawyer. So why are you, I mean, it won't be long before you're churning out, children with disabilities and misfunctioning children because you can't do that genetically. And he's a lawyer. And I mean, why is he banning? Why? I mean, all right, so our birth rate is going down here, but you don't substitute it, do you, with it's just I despair. I sometimes think am I living in a sort of another nightmare somewhere?
Well, it's the far left, of course, and I think a lot of the soft left are going this way. If you listen to the debates on television, as an example, they will come out and say, well, it's between 2 and 3%. You can run into problems marrying this way, whereas the official figures say 3 and a bit percent. Therefore, there's hardly any. But if you look at the figures, and you can do anything with data and figures these days, it's twice the damage, it's twice the rate. It
Yes,
really is a massive problem.
it is.
And it's for the parents, for the children, for
Yes,
the state who have to look
absolutely.
at these children, look after these children.
Exactly right. Because you're not, I mean, yes, and when, well, I call that incest, you see, that's the point.
Well, it is
He's
people.
because it won't just stop at cousins, will it? I mean,
Yep.
I really wish, because he's just like a plank of wood, Starmer. Who is it that's pulling his strings and making these things happen? Who are these people?
They get into positions you would not
There
believe.
is an elite somehow that is driving all these things because I mean, it really worries me.
Well, it is the elite basically behind this, and they have their criteria of diversity, as we know, equity, inclusivity. They're driving this thing forward, which is a Marxist principle, because ultimately they want a Marxist state where the government knows best, and they will do anything to get at it, even as far as brainwashing our children.
Yeah,
Our children have been thoroughly brainwashed in primary school,
yes,
secondary, and
yeah,
at university, and we've even reached the state that we've been mentioning Erasmus, this exchange of young people between universities. Now, the parents of these young people in Europe are saying, we're not letting you go to Britain, go into university, and getting brainwashed. What do the rest of the world think? Well, we know, don't we now?
yeah. Well, I do think this sort of brainwashing and lefty stuff has gone on in universities for quite some time, but it's definitely worse. It really is. I mean, I've been asked to go in and train some PGCE students, postgrad certificate education students next month at Oxford Uni. And in a way, do you know what I mean? I'm actually sort of kind of dreading it because they I am no, I am not going to go down the route of diversity, inclusion, and all of that. And neither am I going to raise the issue of transgender. I'm not doing it. But I've told them I'm not doing it either. This is about safeguarding, blah, blah. But I'm not going to go down. I think I just really do feel now it's a different generation. I'm from a different generation, and I just find it ever more difficult to like you've got a class of ch children in front of you, and a number of times last year I had said because a boy had like cut long hair. Oh, the little girl at the back, I'm a boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have to
Oh,
know.
it's Tuesday. By Friday, it'll be
Yeah,
boy.
it will change again, exactly. And I just think, and I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one that I was talking to somebody the other day that said they got pulled up because they were doing a presentation in the school and they talked about of colour. Now, I think of colour is actually better than black because people aren't black. No one's black, are they? I mean, they're very dark brown to middle coffee colour. I mean, and this person got pulled up for us. It's just ridiculous. I said, I have a real problem with it.
Yeah.
Remembering that I've got to be careful, you know?
What you say? Well, it's only fashion. It'll change. In another
Yeah.
10 years, you'd be criticized for saying the opposite.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Well, talking about DEI, diversity, equality, and inclusivity, how about the Metropolitan Police checks?
Oh, don't.
20,000 police checks were for the Met in London were not carried out because they had targets given by the Home Office, and they thought, oh, we'll cut corners here. So they let rapists in, They've let thieves in.
Yeah, it's absolute. Whoever was on that panel needs to have their backside kicked to the moon and stay there. I mean, that one guy that had, I mean, he'd raped little boys. It was absolutely appalling. How can you? I just don't understand how any. Who are the people that go on these
Well,
panels? How
I'll
can?
tell you who the people are. Dame Cressida
Ah,
Dick.
oh, there we go. Oh,
Yeah, I changed my name. It
there
was
we
called
go.
Cressida.
What a surprise.
What a surprise. And then she gets her damehood.
Oh, what a useless. Oh, I'm not going to say anything more about because I will be cut down on air or something. But I mean, there's no surprise. I didn't know who was on the panel, but who was ever on the panel should. I mean, it's just. I mean, as if the police haven't got enough problems with the confidence of the public. This is just horrific.
But she was appointed under DEI
I
rules
know she was.
initially. She's a
I know
woman. Oh,
because
come on, we'll have to have a woman. It's your turn.
yeah, but also she's lesbian, isn't she? So
Uh,
that ticked two boxes.
exactly. What would you like? You want to become Archbishop of Canterbury
Oh.
or head of the Met? Well, perhaps you chose the right one. Oh
But I
dear.
mean,
Right.
I really, they have no accountability. They have no, I know they've got no moral compass. I just
No.
don't understand. And where's Mark Rowley in all of this?
Well, he's part of the elite, of course he is. We thought we'd have. Oh, he seems to talk good, and he's got some good idea. But no, I'm
No,
sorry.
we thought he'd be a game changer, and he's not.
Yes, no, he's
And
not.
he's not.
I'll tell you whose game will never be changed, and that is Sir Keir. I mean, this ban on Brock. You think, oh, that's a good idea because it is bad. And Farage says this. You've got to agree with it. It's unforgivable in this. It can and it will mushroom, but there are ways of tackling it, and you cannot stop free speech. You tell anybody in Iran they want to ban X, and they soon tell you where to go
Mm,
because it's helped or is
mm,
helping in those dreadful circumstances
mm, mm.
over there. Now, it is a difficult subject, this. I've got an idea actually, and I thought, well, governments stay out of it. Now, for years, 5 years roughly, big groups like the European Union have fined the big tech companies if they've stepped out of line,
Mm.
quite rightly. It doesn't help because they're making trillions and finding them millions. They just take it and say, all right, next. What about, well, you can recall this. Let's take Facebook as an example. You have the opportunity on Facebook of blocking a person,
Yeah.
of reporting a person,
Mm.
and doing various things. Why not have the situation that if you object to some of these horrendous images and changing the garments of a young lady or even taking them off? And by the way, you've been able to do that for donkey's
Yes.
years with many other
Yeah.
programs.
Yeah.
But let's say you followed the modern trend. Um, and if it reaches you, why not report them individually and get a £50 fine? The company would have to pay £50 for every complaint. Well, they'd soon stop it. But then I thought, well, if you get somebody clever, somebody gaming the system, they could make it up and just complain for no reason. But if you've made that £50 payable to a charity, you've
Oh,
done a
yeah.
lot of good in many ways.
Yes, but they were supposed, weren't they? If you had complaints against whatever it was, TikTok, Instagram, whatever they are, if you got complaints of that sort of nature or anything that can create harm to the children and young people, the idea was when the online safety bill came out that they would be charged, any of these big companies, Facebook, whatever, would be charged 10% of their income. Now that's a shed load of money. And that 10%, as you rightly say, should go to the charities that are dealing with the youngsters who have been harmed by these creeps online. But I saw Laura Trott on the news this morning, and she's the shadow education secretary, isn't she? And she was going on, rightly so, about no social media under the age of 16, no phones in schools, no, and you have to do something. You can't keep having this wild west where the parents are just literally not stepping up and understanding the risks. They continue to keep buying the phones for these kids, thinking it's the job of the school, and it isn't. You are legally responsible. You bought the device, you are accountable for it. And
Well,
I, it's ridiculous. I mean, I saw Kemi Badenoch on yesterday on Laura Kunzberg, and she was saying her daughter is what, 14 or 15. I think she has a phone, but she's not allowed to do this, that, and the other. I mean, the simple thing is the parents could put parental locks on. You can, Instagram's got parental locks, TikTok's got it. They've all got it free within that platform, and parents aren't accessing it. It's crazy.
we are in very strange times. Our birth rate is appalling at 1.1, 1.2. We're not producing enough children to be sustainable, to use a modern phrase, for the real world. And parents have every right to say, no, I don't want to do that. I want to enjoy myself. I'm still only 30 odd. Why should I burden myself with children? You don't think that way when you're 50 and 60.
No, you don't. You
You're
don't. I
so
think that
glad that
no,
you've got kids.
that is the point, isn't it? That's what. And how can you, when you're like 25, 32, consider what life will be like when you're 50? You can't. I remember when I was engaged to I was about 23 years old, and I had a friend, Dorothy, and her husband Peter, who didn't have a family, and we were engaged and went to see them for the wedding. And she said, "Do you want children?" And I said, "Not particularly, no." I said, I look around the shops and the streets, everybody seems to be looking miserable. People are always shouting at the kids. And I don't, no, I don't really want, no, I don't. And she said, "Yes, you do." I said, "Why?" Because she said, "We are now in our 50s, we have no children, and friends that you make along the way, you can, at one point in your life, you think, oh, I can go on holiday. Oh, they're having to cope with sleepless nights, blah, blah, blah." And then they grow up, and you have this big family connection of having meals together, holidays together, the joy of graduations and grandbabies. Your life just opens up, and you're still stuck, and you're not invited to the same things. Your friendship groups, because you don't have children, you don't get involved in the same way. And I thought about that, but even then, it took me 4 years, and actually a pregnancy that wasn't expected, that I sadly then lost thanks to my ex-husband. Then there was this huge gap, and then I really thought, oh, actually, I really quite like the idea now. But it is a strange one, and I do think I can sort of kind of understand it in a way with the way the world is. Am I going to bring a child into the world that's going to be having to do conscription when they're 19 years old? Are they going to be, I think there's a case of youngsters overthinking. You could overthink, should I, shouldn't I? And yes, I do agree with you. When you're 50, it and you can't see that when you're in your 20s. You can't see what it might be. And I can remember when I had my four children under five, looking at my friends when they were 50. I think I got all this disposable income. They got their life back.
Yeah,
But I have never ever regretted having four children. Never, never.
no.
And yeah, I do think people need to not overthink it, and also cut back. Um, I mean, we used to you make sacrifices, don't you? You can't do the same things. And I think that's also part of it. Young people today, young couples, they they don't know how to throttle back, and they will still go and shop in Marks and Spencer's for their food, and they will still go out and have brunches, and they will still go, just a cup of coffee now, a fiver. They'll still keep doing that with their children and all of that. And those are the things you probably just have to like pull back on. I mean, was a time we only ever went out for a meal if it was our own as adults' birthday or an anniversary or Mother's Day, and that was it really. You just you didn't really ever the amount you look at now at all the yummy mummies and youngsters that are eating out. I just think, gracious, where have you got the money from?
Yeah, it's eating out's difficult as a restaurateur. I'm going to be shocked for saying things like this, but it's nice to go out
Oh,
occasionally.
definitely.
But if it gets in the blood and you're going out a lot, what have you achieved? Often, not at our restaurants, I've got to say, you finished up with eating inferior food than you would cook at home.
Yeah.
I
No,
have a
that's
golden
true.
rule,
That is true.
and unless you are going out for something special, don't waste your money because it's gone in a night and it's probably done some damage
That's the
if
problem here.
it's
But it is
over processed foods. A
but
lot
it
of the
is it is
restaurants
the
take
it's also the
shortcuts.
whole but it's the ambience of going out, isn't it? It's just something
Oh
nice
yes, it's
about,
it's
that I
theatre.
love. I
It's
I do
theatre.
sometimes look at a menu and I think, how much I could do better than that.
Yeah.
But every so often I just do like it's just nice feeling. And when you're doing all the cooking, all the shopping, all the clearing up, you think, oh golly. But it is expensive now. It is very expensive.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Rachel.
Absolutely. Yes. God bless her.
Well, he's the only one that would. And yes, there are a number of words that have been removed from our dictionaries, if you can think back. One is sacrifice that you've mentioned, and the other is discipline.
Oh,
And if those two
and
words were
another one
put
is
back into
respect.
any family situation, it would make a vast difference, would it
And
not?
another one is respect.
Well, yes. And yeah, we'll pull that, we'll allow that as a goodie. And we say this on a number of occasions. Please don't take children and the blessing that they are as a puppy dog for Christmas,
Mm.
because it's not.
No, well,
It
I
will
mean,
affect your whole life
yeah,
forever.
and you never stop worrying. The moment I have this theory, and well, for me, it's certainly come true that you are only as happy as your unhappiest child.
Oh, there
So,
you go.
well, I think it's true. I mean, I know when we had the situation with Lydia last year, when with her illness and all that, and I mean, oh my gosh, it was just awful. I never thought I'd smile again. And then, then you have somebody else who, the wife's getting a different job and ooh, it's causing stress in the marriage. And then oh my golly, now it's that child that got, and I feel that maybe it's just because I'm really sensitive and I worry, um, I get anxious about things and maybe it's that, but the thing in me is always, oh, what can I do to make it better when you can't? And yeah, no, I think that's what you don't realize. There's always a problem. There's always going to be an issue. You can't get to your grown-up children and think, right, that's it then, because it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, the older they are, the worse they get. Yeah,
Well, it
that's
truly,
true.
honestly, because you've got bigger issues, haven't you? They might be made redundant. They've got, this, that, and you just don't know. Someone unfortunately gets cancer or gets some other awful illness, and there you go again. You can't just say, "Yep, my job's done. Yay, they're all grown up now." It doesn't work like that.
Something
But that's
akin
not a
to
reason
this.
not to have them.
No, well, true. Akin to this problem, can we say, is something that's emerged, that we're looking at a lot of mental problems. A good many of them are caused by the fact that kids don't go out anymore. They don't smell the grass and go for a walk to relieve their anxiety. Yes, mobile phone comes out
You're
straight
busy on
away.
that.
Well, it's not as simple as that. I'll tell you why. If you're looking for a cause for concern, how about this new device that they've got for the buggies now? 3-year-old put in his buggy with
Oh,
mum, and it's a bar that fits across the buggy, and you can attach the mobile phone, and they
exactly,
do. You see it
exactly.
everywhere to this bar, so the kiddie wink can see age 2 or 3 Teletubbies or whatever is the fashion.
Unbelievable,
He doesn't
unbelievable.
have time to look at the great outside world.
I know. And I'm really proud of all my children because all the 8 grandchildren I've got, they, all of them take these children. None of them have got phones. None of them have got iPads, and they are very into. My one daughter is very into science and natural sciences, and her children, they are, and they're primary school, but what they know about her, the mum's got one of these apps that you can, you suddenly find something and you think, oh, what's that? Or a toadstool or something. And this app shows it exactly what it is. And, anything. And she gets the app out, or a flower, a plant, a weed, whatever it is, a fungus. And they just talk about it, and she's educating them all the time, and that in the joy of being outside. I mean, my son gets their dad gets really, he has on Boxing Day he has to go out for a family walk, even though they're all going no 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 yada yada because they all want to play with toys and stuff like that and build their Lego. No, we're going for a walk, and then they get out there and they really like it, and then they stop whinging. But they're very very all my children are very into outdoor stuff, and I'm really pleased about that because and they're all really healthy kids, and that's how it should be. I mean, these
Yeah,
blobs,
it broadens the horizon
of
in
course
many
it does.
ways,
Of course it
literally.
does. I mean,
Well, I said before that it's not the whole problem. Well, Australia has started it, of course, banning the mobile phones if you're under 16.
yeah.
It's growing mega in Britain, fine. But let's say we eventually do it in one form or other. What about going back to your bedroom before you're age 16 with your laptop and spending the night there? So it's not the cure all. What is the
No, it's not the
cure all?
cure-all, but I mean, the thing is, you should be having, again, if you put the parental locks on, that's all it needs. If you have the door open or an open space downstairs when you can see what's going on, why not try talking to your children about what they're watching and what they're doing? Now, Laura Trott was, and I agree with her, they want to see less homework done online. What is wrong with using an encyclopedia? I know I'm old-fashioned, maybe I'm old-fashioned, I don't care. But the use of being able to reference something and understand how you use an index, how you cross-reference, how because that is half the trouble, that so much stuff is done, homework is done online, and of course they don't really learn that because a lot of them are using AI. So, but I thought she came out with some good stuff this morning, Laura Trott. I really did. I mean, sensible stuff. And yeah, I mean, you have to have those skills. I mean, what's the point? If you don't have those skills, what's the point in having a library?
Yes, well, of course, libraries are the first place you go to if you want a computer, if you've not got one, because they will provide all
Well,
the
of course,
access you
yes,
need.
okay, but I mean, if you can do everything online, what are all the books there for then? What's the point?
Um, there's room for both.
There is room for
There
both, and
again,
everything in moderation, wasn't there?
yes. Right, I'll tell you what's not room for both. It started at Glastonbury, really, been going many years before, but we got these two idiots, these rap artists, chanting death, death to the IDF, Israeli Defense. And it's awful. They got away with it because it's just been announced that the Avon and Somerset police have investigated for hate speech. Now, if you want a better definition for hate speech than saying death to Israel, I can't think of one. It's an open and shut case,
Well, absolutely.
but it isn't. They've said it didn't breach the law. Well, hang on. Roughly at the same time, there was a preacher actually closing his eyes and praying for Islam, and those that were shouting various Islamic phrases, not aggressively, not in anybody's face, he gets arrested for hate speech.
Yeah.
What is this
What
about?
did you see? I can't believe it. Did you see the other day this was it a lady or a man? I can't remember. I think it was a lady. She was arrested by four police officers for feeding pigeons. And this Islamic guy was complaining, and so four police officers arrested her for feeding pigeons just because the Muslim created. Goodness sake, go back, jog on, for goodness sake.
Well, as we mentioned at the beginning of our chat, yeah, there is definitely a two-tier care
Oh, and
system here.
and that gap is getting wider.
Well, let's drill down a bit more. The other phrase that has got to be, and this is recent, globalize, they shout, globalize the intifada. Now, that needs translating. What are these pro-Palestinian marches all about? They're about globalize the intifada. Quite simply, that means let's have another October the 7th, where 1,200 odd Jews were killed in the most horrific way. Now, they are saying this all the time, and the police turn a blind eye.
I know. I mean, it's becoming glaringly obvious. It's not even. I mean, when this two-tier stuff first started, it wasn't quite so obvious. You could think, well, yeah, maybe, maybe not. But now, absolutely, it's like way over here. I mean, there's just with it just the gap. There's no overlap. It absolutely is. I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Who, if you, who is it that's driving this? I mean, it just seems too powerful to just be Labour. I mean, I swear there's somebody behind it.
Well, of course, if you are in certain globalist societies, let's call it World Economic Forum, Davos, etc., you can clearly identify individuals. George
Yes.
Soros, as an example. And you can see he's putting his millions and billions in going for globalization. We've all got to be the same, which
Yeah,
is Marxism, basically.
absolutely.
Again, and you've got people biting at the so-called cherry. You've got the extreme Islamists, and those that are not as extreme as you think are wanting to take over your country, and they're getting away with it. There are the communists, and that's what they are, wanting to change your country into a communist, ultra socialist regime. And the two are coming together, even though they represent opposite poles philosophically, they're coming together to get their own way.
Mm.
And one is supporting the other. Maybe this is why the communists, Keir Starmer as one of them, is not doing what he should in controlling the Islamists that want to
Mm.
take over the country.
Mm. Well, he's not controlling anything that's going to be good for the nation. It's all the rubbish that no one wants. That's the point.
Well, let me quote, apart from Mr. Starmer, Sir Keir. We all know why he's called Sir Keir. Nothing to do with what he's done altruistically, of course. It's just that he's been part of the blob for long enough to get a Sir. And Mr. Miliband, it's equally as potty in his own
Do we have
right.
to go there?
Yeah. I mean, it's been announced today that people in the know that have not been tainted or gaslit are actually saying he's crackers. There's not a prayer that you're going to get anywhere near net zero, Mr. Miliband, in 2030, not even to your 95% aim at doing so. In fact, it's going to be 15 years before you get anywhere near that amount. It's
Seriously.
impossible, and he still goes ahead with these mad schemes. But why I mention that, there are two people that want us back into Europe more than anybody else. One is the aforementioned Starmer, the other is the aforementioned Miliband.
Yeah.
They are doing everything very subtly backdoor. The latest thing they're doing is Oh, it's going to be better if we join the European internal electricity movement, because we'll get benefits all being together. Until you look at this in detail, look at the targets, look at the costs, and we'll be paying more money out to get in the first place. And it's based on modelling. Now, have we learnt anything from COVID? Apparently not.
No, no. I mean, the thing is, though, again, what annoys me, there was a referendum about Europe. And so we had this
But we didn't
referendum.
know what we were doing. We're stupid. Our elites know better than us. Why bother with stupidity? Well, I tell you why. It's called democracy.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. But I mean, people should be absolutely outraged because I still did, excuse me, I did say at the time that there wasn't a big enough gap. I think there should have been, the percentage of people wanting it or not wanting it, I think should have been bigger for, not sort of just 2 or 3% difference. I think it should have been bigger than that. But nonetheless, we had the referendum. He's got no right to just change what was the vote of the. He seems to forget that the general public are the people why he's in power. Thank goodness I never voted for him. Oh my God. But you were voted in to represent, and nearly everything he said he'd do, he hasn't done. He's done the absolute opposite, which we all knew he would do. But I just, even so, I can't believe the damage and what he's done in what is 18 months is unbelievable. It is so worrying.
Well, don't forget the one word mantra that these people have to get in was change.
Oh, change, yeah. And I can
You've
remember
got to
saying
congratulate him, haven't
I,
you, on that one?
I said at the time, oh, yeah, he'll change all right, but not how you think. But I didn't think it would be as bad as it is. I knew what he was. You could tell what he was. But everybody, I said, you wait, you'll regret voting for him because the change you're thinking isn't the change he's going to do. But I still am amazed as to what he has done, to be honest. It's far
Well,
worse,
there's a lot
worse
of
than even I
people
thought.
are comparing him with a puppet.
Mm.
Puppet on a string, that takes you back, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's a European disease, if it ever there was. And he's wooden, so he's definitely up for a puppet on a string.
Oh, he is.
And who's pulling the strings?
That's what I keep asking. Who is pulling the strings?
Well, the globalists are clearly pulling the strings, and he wants to get more of it. Well, he's not taking this nation back in.
Well, we'll see.
Time will
Because
tell.
I don't think public opinion bothers him. He just does what he wants to do, and he does these things without any discussion in Parliament. I mean, that is what I've said. Power corrupts, and absolute power absolutely corrupts. Now, having a big majority for anyone and anything whatsoever, I always think is a bad thing because you can become, as he is becoming, a dictator state. I mean, now he wants to close down X. Well, of course he does, because there's too much information going out there, and everything on X is anti-Starmer. You never see anybody putting anything positive about him.
No, there's very few people that would be affirmative there. I tell you something else that's coming out. Again, it's moving the deck chairs on the proverbial Titanic. They come out with these figures. Oh, we're getting to grips with the bureaucrats, with the NHS, say the government. In fact, this year there'll be between 6 and 7,000 incompetent staff sacked from the NHS. Well, jolly good if they're incompetent.
Yeah,
But hang
absolutely.
on, let's do some simple maths here. There are 1.2 million people working in the NHS, big company.
Yeah, huge.
6 to 7,000 represents 0.00 or whatever it is. That's nothing. Any company sacks between 6 and 7,000 a year quite justifiably. And in fact, 2 or 3 times that figure. You're not doing anything. It's just cutting things to your perspective at the edge. you are presenting this and it's just cheap window dressing
Mm.
cirque. I tell you what, I was watching the other day because I'd run out of Christmas watches on television because, of course, there was
It
nothing
was
worth
awful.
watching. Yes. And I thought, I've never watched this 999 series. Now I'm thinking with NHS again here. And it was horrific. Now, I've been scraped off roads and various things in my time. So you don't really want to look how you behaved while you were fighting for life, as these
Oh, God.
programs show, and the pain involved. Of course, they cover up the real nasties, but it doesn't help you psychologically. But no, I'll watch it. I was amazed and every emergency situation was the same. There was a fire on the Saddleworth Moor. We used to live there. So I thought, oh, I'll watch this and see what goes on. I have never seen so many policemen, but especially NHS workers, standing around talking about how they would handle the situation of this poor woman that had fallen over and dislocated a knee or whatever it was. Very painful. There must have been 20 or 30 doctors, paramedics, nurses, and two of them were actually working. The rest were just there because of the system that the NHS have adopted, like the BBC, of totally overmanning and overwomening everything. And all they were doing is, oh, can we do it this way? Should we do it that way? And it showed two other accidents after that as well. And the same thing happened. That is the NHS, folks.
Mm.
It is so supremely badly run, you can't
It
imagine.
is badly run, and also they've got such outdated, their computer systems don't link up. One department doesn't link with another. I mean, even in today's world, that is true. I mean, I went to well, I had to go to one hospital the other day, and I said, the letters haven't come through, blah blah blah, and they still had. This is a different hospital, but the notes hadn't been updated, and my letters were going to an address that I had two addresses ago that they hadn't updated it. I mean, this is 2026 for goodness sake. You shouldn't have these errors.
Yes, and couldn't organise a riot springs to
No.
mind.
Well, I said,
And
was it something the other day? I
it
said about
will
the
it will
Labour
always
Party
be
and
thus. It will never change
no.
unless somebody with a bit of courage steps in there and said, right, we'll follow another system.
Well, of
We'll
course,
look at another
West
country.
Streeting's the man.
Oh, no, he isn't. Let's see how other people do it. And maybe we can learn and stop being so arrogant and wasting all our money.
I
We
keep
move
saying
on. We've
they
run out
couldn't
of time.
organise. Keep saying they couldn't organise a kids' picnic.
Yes, we must move on. Last item, and this is the good news, folks. But I've heard of it before, but it's happened again in Brazil. They have various prisons and places that have got to be looked after. But they found that guard dogs are no good compared with geese because
Yeah.
these gooses can be put between two barbed wire fences, and not even an atomic bomb can get through these geese traps. And all they do is honk so if they see anything unusual, somebody trying to escape or get in, if it's Britain, anyway, so they go off, and the guards are immediately alerted, and they're put back in their place. What a good idea! But
They are they're
that's called
vicious.
thinking out the box.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to give it a go. I mean, I'm terrified of geese. When you go to a lake and you sort of like, I don't go near the geese because I think they can be really, and so can swans. They can be quite vicious, can't they?
They can, but
But geese, oh my golly,
the
that's so.
honking, and then they have another advantage. you can kill them and eat them. And
But no, I don't.
oh,
Oh,
I
no.
do like a nice bit.
Oh, I don't like it at
No,
all.
no, is it too fatty
No.
for you?
Yeah, yeah, don't like it. I'm not into sort of gamey things. I don't.
Oh, it's nice. It's nice. It's tasty.
My neighbor shoots pheasants, and he turned up one day having sort of feathered this thing and whatever you'd call it, and he had this stuff in a plastic bag, and he went, "Would you like this?" I said, "What is it?" Pheasant breast. I thought I was going to throw up over him. I went, "No, thank you, absolutely not." And they shoot that, and they shoot the deer around here as well. Um,
Oh, I
um,
love venison. That's my favorite, and
I
it's
do like
very good
venison.
for
Yeah,
you.
but what I don't like is, you see, if you are on a shoot, you're supposed to clear up your mess, right? The mess is found by my dog, who will often come in. She sneaked one in the other night, actually, and tucked it under herself in her bed. And a bit odd. Got up in the morning and she had brought in half a deer's shin bone
Oh,
into her bed, and she was lying on it. I thought, oh no, that's gross. She's coming with trotters that I mean they're supposed to clear up after them, and they don't. But my dog seems to be a Labrador, like a natural Hoover.
yes. And the other thing to, well, to bring us down to earth about venison is you can only now, throughout Europe, I understand, you can only get it for about 6 months a year. It's all part of the preservation thing. And so you can freeze it, I suppose.
Yeah, well, we live on the Duke of Bedford's land, you see, so you're not allowed anything that you find killed. So if you knocked into a deer, then that the gamekeeper has to have that.
Oh, oh,
You're not allowed to, no, the gamekeeper, he's always on the prowl, not allowed to shoot rabbits or anything like that at all. Um, yeah.
oh, we're going back to serfdom, aren't we now?
Yeah, we
So
are.
we've
Yeah,
got
yeah,
two
yeah.
bad systems. And it's as we've been saying throughout this program, why can't we go the middle way? But we got to go either
All
way.
right then. Well, very lovely to see everybody. Have a good week, Monday morning.
Monday morning, yeah, we survived it.
Lots will happen in this week, even by tomorrow morning, no doubt.
There you go. See you next week.
Bye bye. Thank you.